The other level of corruption is grand level corruption, or what we call state capture. And there's actually a mathematical formula for corruption. It's corruption equals monopoly plus discretion minus accountability. So C equals M plus D minus A. That means you have a monopoly on power and you're able to make the decisions without anybody holding you accountable. Do we have a situation like that in New Brunswick? Yes. How many people are held accountable for the things that they do? How many politicians are able to exercise discretion without being held accountable for their actions? So what is state capture? Well, state capture is a fancy idea that some guys in the World Bank came up with who were working in Russia and Ukraine. Danny Kaufman and Joel Hellman. And I used to always rally against them every time we'd have a conference, you know, because as Charles points out, and I'm glad to see that the leader of the revolution is a little guy from Kedgwick. He's great. And I basically came into this by contacting Charles and said, boy, do I have a story for you. Let's talk. And he responded. And I've been doing this for years, throwing out messages in a bottle, seeing if anybody responds. Charles responded, and that was it. So you see that state capture is the idea that businesses create their own laws, policies, and regulations to their own advantage. Now, in most developing countries, this is done with a kickback. So when the World Bank presented this idea, I said, no, guys, you know, I don't think this really applies to Russia or Ukraine, because the businessmen are the politicians. The politicians are the businessmen. There's no difference. But I said, I think it applies to my own little home province, because there the corporations are able to essentially write their own rules. Right? Wouldn't that be great if we were going down the road and we could drive as fast as we want because we've written the speed code in that zone? Right? How is it possible that a company is able to write its own regulations? So you have regulatory capture in which a business will write its own rules, and that happens in a lot of businesses in the airline industry and other industries. So it's not unique. But state capture occurs when one company is able to write the rules across many different sectors or industries. And they are the ones that are really benefit. So you have a small number of people who write all the rules, and they're the ones at the end of the day who are the main beneficiaries. And it only works if you have a system that is absolutely opaque, right? There's no transparency. Nobody's asking any questions. Everybody just keeps their heads down, right? And that's the New Brunswick way. If you're stubborn enough to stay here, you know you better shut your mouth. All right? Or the next place you're going to go is Tajikistan.